All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, Smirking Gun. This is Rob here, and we have gotten to the penultimate episode of The Fall of the House of Usher, another Mike Flanagan masterpiece, in my opinion. Um, Midnight Mass is still the best one. But I think that as far as adapting things go, I think he's really uh, he's done something super special and unique with this. So even if it's, if you don't want to call it as good as Midnight Mass, I don't like to even think of it in terms like that. I like to think of it in terms of each one is just their own unique one. You might enjoy some more than others. I think Blind Manor is probably, like, to me, the one that I would probably visit the least if you were asking me. Although I didn't finish Midnight Club, and I don't know why, but I'm probably going to try to finish that here while I still have some Netflix. Um, but I just, if you haven't been able to tell already, I just adore this show. And it's like when you say adore, when you use the word adore or something like that, it's like, you should be talking, you usually would be talking about something light and happy and, good. And, something that leaves you feeling great. But I'm still using it for this, like, crazy, crazy, dark, dark show of the human soul, man. And we have gotten to Freddy's episode. But again, it's also so much of this is starting to finally come together. We're starting to see the bigger picture from the past. Some surprises to me. I mean, I guess when you really get caught up in a show and a story, you can sometimes not see things you should have seen, And I feel like there's a couple of things maybe I should have seen coming in this. There was one thing. The very end was very predictable, and I mean the very end. Um, just watching how they were going to work the pit and the pendulum into this was fantastic. Carla Gugino, my she's just everybody in this. But again, this episode really highlights a few people, and like Carla Gugino as Verna, as I mean, it's full spoilers, by the way. Um, she's got to be the devil, but what a devil! What a devil! And again, showing how much range she has, and I want to see her continue to work in high quality projects. Everybody out there, look at what she does with this work. Give her some good scripts. Let her be in some really good stuff, man. Because every time I see her in something like this, and then I see like something like High Rise or whatever that one was, like Skyscraper or whatever, or what's the one where she's fleeing with the rock? I don't remember. But anyway, I love seeing her this. Willa Fitzgerald channeling Mary McDonnell perfectly in this. Katie Parker, who's on the thumbnail for this one. Uh, I was trying to go, who am I going to put on the thumbnail? And boy, oh boy, did they give me a reason to put Katie Parker on this thumbnail, because what a like she's the good person. She's the, oh my God, you are sincere. Oh my gosh, you're in this for the right reasons. It's a really, like, at first it's kind of just she's the wife, but when you pull it all apart and you see it and you step back, like the characters do in this, when they think about her, she's the one good Usher. And she does a really good job at just, there's a lot of broken hearts in this episode. And hers was the first to break. As we see, like, from the beginning, the firstborn son, Freddie, and how Roderick chooses to deal with him, as a kid. Now, to be fair, I'm going to say this. Okay. They're having a meeting, a very, 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 like, the most important meeting of these two guys' lives that they're preparing for. The white, Annabelle Lee is putting the daughter down to sleep to take a nap. And Freddie's just out in the living room with a fire truck that's going off and off and off. And I don't know. It's like when she says kids make noise. It's like, yes, yes, they do. But come on. like he didn't have to react like he did, but it was kind of an unfair setup, in my opinion. Uh, and that's not my just because I have a bias against kids. I just don't feel like that situation was really all Roderick's fault because everything is on the line. Now, knowing what I know now about what happens with this whole case, now I'm kind of like, well, whatever. Like he should have had, and maybe that was part of it, right? Was Roderick just stressed out because his kid was making noise, right? And he was messing up his words, but was also a little bit of this making him mad because he knew he was about to do what he does. I'd like to think on that, and especially when they land on where they're talking about you can't blow the whistle without a whistleblower, and they like they're counting. He's counting on August is counting on his help, his word, and you can see that Augie is just as driven as Roderick. All right, these aren't just a couple. Like both of them are will be making their careers, will be making their lives, or at least on paper. You know what I'm saying? It's the big moment. It's the big hero moment. And I honestly really should have seen what happens coming. But I didn't think that this was like the inciting incident for August and Roderick. I thought that they'd get through this and then something after happens, but they don't even get to that. And we'll have to find out more in the last episode, which is a longer episode. It's like an hour and 15 minutes, which is probably about an hour and 10, maybe hour 12. But um, both of these guys, they're not around their kids, but they keep talking about, well, if we're not going to be here, let's make it worth it. And it's just such a lousy justification, like how like people do that all the time. Um, but in the present, they talk about Annabelle Lee, that she was good, and that it makes it. August, confesses to Roderick that knowing you lost this one good thing that you had, the person that like, if she loves you, there you can't be all bad. But they bring up Lenore, who is Annabelle Lee without the broken heart, which it's like you said it out loud. I had a feeling when I wrote down the broken heart part, I was like, but she's gonna have her heart broken. But that really isn't that hard of a prediction when you see what she's going through with her own father, Freddie, in this. Um, I really love the combined transition of audio on top of itself when he says, "How the fuck did this happen?" And it transitions from there to the past with Freddie and them all talking about, or well, it's actually Pim and Madeline, right? And that no one lifted a finger. Like all this shit went down with Tamerlane. Everybody was in the room. Everybody's let her like smash the TVs. He's got a fucking point. Like everybody just let this go down. I said this last episode, like that Madeline felt like she was really more like to catch she was there for her support, but she really, even when she was going off the rails, yeah, maybe it's good to be prudent. You'd sit there and you wouldn't want to necessarily jump in or anything, but it became clear quickly that she gives up. She's like, okay, she's done. Now it's time to find the box in the henhouse. But Roderick's still denying the mystical. Now they do bring up that she fell apart. Like he can't handle this, right? She fell apart in my hands like steam. Such a great writer. That's pretty succinct. But him denying the mystical because he still can. He's still thinking he can just swing this with the board. Like there's some way out of this. Like this is business, right? He's denying it's his business and contracts, and it should have been telling me right away. And I don't know why I didn't consider the devil and all that stuff. Mostly because I just since I don't believe in that crap, it's not always the first thing I go to. But since I have a religious, pretty like dark religious background, I really still should have seen this coming. But again, I think when you get engrossed in something so like deep as I am with this show, And I'm so just kind of following the events and letting them unfold in front of me instead of just trying to predict my way through it. It's just a completely satisfying experience. Um, but Freddie is the key vote. Now, Madeline and Arthur have this like conversation about what do we do about Roderick. They've got Arthur, he's the right hand man. He's the lawyer, he's the guy who gets things done. He's talking about how he's a great man. He wants to, we can't do anything about it. But Madeline, see, she's sitting there, right? She wants to use this AI consciousness algorithm, right? Get out of the pills business, get into a restart as a tech company. What board wouldn't like that to see us go from the negative to the positive? And then see him kind of coming around as much as he loves he's a great man, you know. But there's like some truth. It's like they say a truth, but they say it as he kind of says it like as a reason to do what they're going to do. Like, well, this must be really hard. Like there's a really hard to almost sense false sincerity to how he says it. It's meant to sound sincere, but you can hear the insincerity, the justification behind it, the way to say it so that it's like, it's a darn shame that it's come to this, right? It's the hardest thing to have to say out loud, right? Is what she says. But she still said it because that's who she is as well. In the end, the legacy, right? Everything for the legacy. What people do for legacy. And it made me think about that. Like, again, like what people are willing to do to be how to be remembered. Even if it's, being famous is one thing, being infamous is another. And some people don't mind being infamous. And if you look around us, like this platform. Let's just talk about this platform. How, all of us were a bunch of nobodies. And by nobodies, I don't mean that we're nothing. I just mean YouTube gave everybody a voice. We were just a bunch of people who didn't know each other. And then for a while, it became what it becomes what it becomes, right? People get big, some people don't, blah blah blah. But now and there were people taking advantage even back then. But in the circles that I travel on this platform, what people are willing to do to, like, when you think about, this is probably going to be the only thing they really do. If this doesn't work out, if YouTube, you know, something happens, and these people would actually have to find a real job or something, um, whatever they would do, they'd still want to be, they've chosen to be remembered as just, I don't know, what people are willing to do on YouTube to be like as their legacy. Just kind of, it's just really sad and pathetic. And but it's everywhere, everywhere that people just purposely lie and do wrong. I don't want to get on a soapbox too much about this, but it just really made me think about how self-involved we all are to some degree, and others way more where it's okay to do whatever to other people because this is our one shot, and people just don't seem to care how they be remembered as long as somebody remembers them, whether you're famous or infamous. Now, we start with Freddie's main part of the story where he's just surrounded her little room, locked it up, uh, surrounded by images of themselves, cut up, like pasted, like the work it took to put that together. I mean, I don't even know. Apparently, keeping Lenore out of that room is not that hard, which I don't know. I found that a little bit off. Like, I don't know. But again, trying to think as a kid who, I don't know, if it's my mom, I'd be like, I don't know. But that's just me. The script says she doesn't act this way, so okay. But he's coked out of his mind. And when he starts going over like how they met and just the nostalgia, like the way he tries to, feel like, oh, like you made me feel so good, like this was a guy who could use a friend, and now I'm like, you think of me as toothless, like they don't really go into the background of their relationship, but like, and I've posited that he's closeted gay, but I guess they're, since they're not going into that, I'm just going to say that he's just a bit effeminate. And it's just so messed up that you go from like all this because she one time like went somewhere without like telling him where. Like she was embarrassed, she was turned on, she was, yeah, was she thinking about betraying him or cheating on him or something? I don't even think she knew what going there meant. She just wasn't, something was missing and she went there. And it turned out to be a situation that nobody would be able to predict. And maybe she'd have been able to get away with it, of like not really saying. But she obviously had to have been on some level unhappy with her marriage. But if this was the first time, what a flip, what a switch, that gets flipped inside this guy. That his insecurity and his need for approval and everything from his father, uh, it's like the first chance he got to turn the tables on someone else that might, he took it and he went like the most insane, psychopathic, vindictive, petty, small way of doing it. And then now that he's the last kid left, he's got this like all of a sudden inflated ego because he's the belle of the ball, right? He's the last one. It's the only reason they take him seriously. They put him at the, like he talks about how he was put at the top above Tammy. And I think that they, like it wasn't, I mean, it is convenient for the story that it goes from like the oldest to the youngest, or essentially like how they entered the family, I would say, right? Because of how, well, we can talk about the deal later. But I almost feel like it was also that Freddie's at the top because if you look at Freddie, you go, why the fuck is Freddie at the top? Wouldn't that make everybody them, below him fight harder to get to where it is? And again, it goes into what he talks about how, what Roderick did to them. That, if you want to test a bond, you don't really need to break it, you just crack it a little. So Roderick did this to them their whole lives. He kept cracking them and cracking them and cracking them, not breaking, not cracking. And then, the other line is, if you don't want to be consistently cruel, then you have to be sufficiently brutal at least once to establish authority. And I don't know if anybody else has experienced that kind of thing either or both. I've encountered both. Both suck. Both are meant to create fear and authority and dominance over someone else. And it can work. You can find yourself indoctrinated and just not yourself, completely over, like completely given over to somebody else's will in some ways, where you just can't think for yourself without wondering what that person thinks, feels, what would they do to if I say this or do this. Keeps you spinning, keeps you always constantly looking for approval that you really don't need or in the end want, but you're made to feel like it, you want it and need it because that person, that's what they want out of it. And he thinks like as he's had this complete break with reality, that what he's doing to his wife is somehow making them stronger. I mean, he's completely jumped. He's in the car with Toonces in an SNL sketch where the car just goes right over the cliff. Now, at least Lenore stands up to her father, but this is where her heart breaks. When they talked earlier about she's, the best of us without the broken heart. She's pure. She's pure good. But she has the broken heart now because the way her father talks to her. I kept waiting for him to accidentally, well, not when I say accidentally, like to lash out in something to cause her death. That's what I was waiting for. I've been waiting for it the whole thing because of, the story of Lenore. But that was where her heart broke, and it was just. And then we do another. This episode had those transitions twice. So first we had like we've had a couple of them, like the how the fuck did this happen part, but like the knocks where it goes from Lenore knocking to the knocks that are inside the childhood house where August and Roderick and Present are, and then this is great because August is basically like, I'm out of here, I'm gone, I'm not playing this game anymore. This keeps going and going, and I just don't want to play it. He's getting scared. He's getting a little freaked out. He feels like he's in a trap. That there's something in it for Roderick. So why am I still here? Why should I give you when he clearly enjoys taking from Roderick? This is something he can take from him. Is I'm not going to sit here and let you confess. I'm not going to sit here and let you feel like you're absolved or got redeemed in some way. But he tries to, what he even uses, like, you're going to have me on multiple murders, man. And all I was thinking was, well, August, you might be one of those murders. It could be one of those stories, like in a Tales from the Crypt, where he's like, you get to the end and the guy's like, oh, I thought you told me you were guilty of murder. And he's going to be like, I am. And he's going to, he gets up and chokes dude out or something, But that's not what happens yet. I don't know. Because he's like, we've been here before. We've been down here, this road. And the clock tolls out of nowhere. This thing goes boom, and I jumped. I jumped a little in real life. On the inside, I leaped like a cat that saw a cucumber. Because and not only this, but August sees the clock, and Roderick now is like, okay, this things are actually getting involved here, which is another thing that happens in this episode is people getting involved that don't normally get involved are letting people that shouldn't see what they're being allowed to see things that they normally wouldn't be allowed to see, which is the clock in this instance. And I really love how Bruce Greenwood's Roderick gets to recap the events of every episode by saying exactly what happens whenever he's like, first there'll be a little clue, a little cue to the death, then there'll be a little peek from my kid, and then all of a sudden the kid's gonna be in my face. It's brilliant. It's meta inside this show. There's so many good things about this fucking show, everybody. But this time there's no corpse. This time it's even worse in some ways. It's his wife, Annabelle Lee. She comes out, and it's his son when he's young. And he does, look, I don't like the sound of children's voices very much. Sorry. But when a little kid says, Daddy, your heart breaks. Especially with the context that we have here, where it's like, it's worse because he's not seeing what he did, it's seeing that what he had. What he had was a good life with a awesome wife and an awesome kid. And he let it go. And then you see the kid like go all weird in his body and he gets cut in half. He just drops like the bottom half of his body off. I'm just like, oh my God. Yes, I love this show. Yes, I know it's crazy to talk about. You're talking about liking a part where a kid gets cut into. It's because of the way it's done, and the imagery just makes it more just epically tragic. And then right after that, we have after seeing this scene, we see the scene with August and Roderick in the past. They're in the deposition. All he's got to do is do his thing, and he doesn't. He completely betrays them. He betrays the whole thing and says, none of this, that's my signature. I did all this. I don't know why I'm here. I'm being harassed by this guy. He had this guy in his home. He made them, they basically became friends. This is one, I really wish I was on camera for this one, folks, because I am really animated as I'm talking about this. he completely betrays him, and it's like, oh, like the scene in was it Firefly or Serenity, where it's like the dinosaurs fighting. It's like, curse your event, your inevitable betrayal. I should have seen this coming, but again, I didn't think this was going to be the incident when he totally turns on him and gets arrested for perjury, and Madeline and everything just turns, and like, by not talking, they say he's going to be a hero. He's going to have everything he wanted because the board is going to reward him for this, and it's like, it's so diabolically like, if you want to get ahead and you don't have any ethical problem doing anything, like, and Madeline looking at Annabelle like she's less than her because she's actually genuinely can't believe that her husband did this, that he was going to be a hero, and now he's this other thing that they, and she believed in everything, and he lied to her. And Madeline's reaction to her, and it's like, no, Madeline, you are so small. And to then jump to one powerful scene to another powerful scene. Verna and Madeline. Madeline goes to the house, and there's Verna, and she's just there. And again, okay, it's the devil, right? It's the devil. It's a deal with the devil. They made a deal with the devil, and Madeline is there to rewrite the contract because, of course, she would. What's the different stages? She's at bargaining right now, I guess. But to find out, she's like, yeah, he comes here, he cries, he knows everything that's gone wrong, and he just comes here and he lets it all out, and it's just like all the shit they don't know. That he understands like everything he does, but he doesn't stop. He does not stop. He can't. And I mean, and Madeline, like, again, Mary McDonnell's performance, she's standing up to the devil. Did you? It even sounded like when she's like, "Do you know who I am?" Like there was like this change in the voice. It almost sounded malevolent, in my opinion. You know who I am. You know what I've done. You know who I've hurt. You're like, she's basically like, I'm one of the worst people on this planet. I love how, and she means it like I'm strong. Like, and she's not wrong. It's just that, it's that me or nobody. There are so many me over everybody else. I mean, in the end, we all have our own self-interests, but if you decide to like completely cut yourself off, look at what it becomes. And it's like, again, what people are willing to do to ensure that they're okay, that their lives are taken care of, that their family is taken care of, and fuck everyone else. But she's like, yeah, I know what you are. You're a collection of impeccable, elaborate masks in an orbit of a stunted heart. Fucking really awesome. I mean, what a way to cut someone. And she's like, I know who you are. I saw who you were. I saw who you could have been, and it breaks my heart. More heartbreak. And I was finding it interesting as the devil has talked through this, these episodes, telling them, like all you had to do was just lay down and you just had gone in your sleep. Like there's an interesting devil angle here that I don't know if I've ever seen, in this fictional spiritual section of the series. And talking about the devil, we've seen all kinds of iterations of the devil throughout the course. I mean, I have. If you're younger, just wait, watch a bunch of shit with the devil. You'll know what I'm talking about. But we've seen the devil always just be like like the trickster. We've seen just the straight up monster devil that just is like something out of Doom. But I don't know if I've ever really seen the devil. Like we've seen just all kinds of like charismatic devils and everything else. And Carla's kind of a combination of different ones, but she also feels the most human, the most reasonable, the one who's like kind of rooting for you, like looking into your past and lamenting when you make the wrong choice. Not overjoyed, almost as if, and you could even say maybe this is the Grim Reaper if you want. Potato, potato. Um, but the Grim Reaper just takes you when it's your time. I don't know if the Grim Reaper has ever been able to make deals. That's why I'm leaning towards the devil. Um, or a devil, who knows. But it's a really interesting point to make out that a devil that kind of is rooting for you. I hope you're not one of those people that I have to deal with. As if, like I said, kind of rooting for us. It, it enjoys what it does, but it enjoys doing it to bad people more than good, or people that had the potential to be good. But I guess everybody has the potential to be good. It's just our choices, environment, things like that get in the way. Now, at least Lenore breaks in, okay? But even in this, I was like scared. I kept wondering, like, what's going to happen? And something else I should have seen is that Juno is just a prop. I was trying to think about, like, what are they doing? Like, why do they insist on her taking all these drugs? And she's just a prop. She really is just this perfect prop. I mean, he says it to her, like, you're the perfect vessel for my product, basically. And I love how she wants to get off the drug, and he's like, no, it's a non-addictive drug. It's fine. I mean, you're gonna, if you try to get off it though, I mean, there's gonna be at first you think maybe he'll just say like a couple of things, and then he lists off everything like it's in one of those commercials, but like Bruce Greenwood saying it and slower, and it's just, man, if I ever get to meet Bruce Greenwood somewhere, some way, I want to just thank him so much for how great he was in this. Like, every actor can be, I don't know. You know what I'm just saying? Like, you just want, I'm sure he gets it everywhere. Probably gets told like all sorts of things, but I really want to point out how goddamn good he is in this. And I keep saying that about everybody I know. But uh, him listing off all this stuff and then talking about the torture of it, but at least the fish dies. But she thankfully says that she'd rather do 3 years in hell over a lifetime with you. And again, I kept wondering, well, is she going to be one of the murderers? Is he going to, like, flip out and throw her out a fucking window or something? But I don't know. But Verna and Maddie now are in the chairs, but it's actually earlier, so it's not when August and Roderick are down there. They're in there before this is happening. They're in the chairs. There's the fireplace, and talking about, like, she wants to give her. First, she gave her certainty. Like, this is certainly going to happen. Now I'm going to clarify. Like, give you clarity to make you understand. And going into, like, what Roderick would have been as a poet. And they would explain his way with words. And this monologue that she gives, I know it's not Mike Flanagan's words, but it's just, again, accentuates the reason why Carly Gugino is not just some pretty face that's still kicking. Like, I mean, she is still a good-looking dame. Let me tell you. Did I just say dame? I'm sorry. She is I'm just sorry. I can't help it. Like, I think of Carly Gugino in my head and I go, oh my God. But she's just such a good, talented actress. And I love that she gets to say dialogue like this. Now, the end here. Basically, after all is said and done, we still need someone to die. But at least we know that the cops are on their way. Lenore is there with her mother. And Freddie is off to go look for the ring before he knocks down the building that Perry died in. So the youngest and the oldest die in the same place. Perry was there to fill that hole in his heart and make a bunch of blackmail deals and hope to one day get to where Freddie is. And Freddie's down there where Perry, is going to do something and he's pissing on it. He's going there to piss on it, find his ring, and possibly weld it to his wife's finger. But as he's pissing, he collapses. And this is where we find out, he was using a nightshade paralytic on his wife. And she's like, Myrna's there, kind of dresses like a construction worker. I don't usually get involved. But she's like personally there to see if this happens, and she wants to see it happen. And this is where I came up with that, idea. She's like, but you had to do the thing with the pliers. You had to bring her home. You had to do this. And it's like her telling him, all your life, all you wanted was this guy's approval, and you get it, and this is what you've been doing. And it's like, oh, he did you wrong. He did you dirty. This is horrible. But that's still no fucking excuse. We can have all the trauma in the world, and it's something that people like I've experienced a lot of trauma. A lot of people have. Not like anybody out there that hears this that's experienced trauma, who also hasn't done somebody wrong and thought, well, it's okay because this is that and the other has been done to me. And if you can control that behavior, though, that's no excuse for acting that way. And again, like, this is why I do what I do, because I love talking about how, not just because, oh, the dialogue's great, and oh, this is exciting, and oh, that's scary, and oh, that girl's pretty, and blah, blah, blah. I don't talk about this stuff just because I want to just mindlessly watch something and not think. I want to talk about how this makes me think, feel, remember, go down paths that, we can all relate to. And I mean, this is pretty relatable. How we treat other people despite our trauma. And he pays the ultimate price. Although he should feel a little grateful. I did love that. Nobody gets to see the inside of a building as it's being torn down. You've got a really nice vantage point. And she's got a point. It is kind of cool to see a building get torn down from the inside. And then as everything just comes down, flying away, almost hitting him, doing this, the swinging of the thing, we have our pendulum. And we get to the deal and the terms. So Freddie, I mean, again, they show this. I love it. He's paralyzed, just like he was paralyzing his wife, and he can do nothing about it. And the other part is what she says to him is that you've been waiting for this your whole life. Freddie, it's finally here. You can stop worrying. And that's something I found, again, that I've got to stop doing. Is I think about my own mortality way too much. When I was a kid, I was told that the world was only going to be around for so long before apocalypse was going to come. I was told, don't worry about seeing 16, don't worry about seeing 18. Every time I would get a little older, they'd say, well, don't worry about seeing 21. And so I was always thinking about it. It was ingrained in me. It was indoctrinated into me by a religion to worry about my mortality and death. And that's something else I'd like to change. I mean, it was done to me. But at some point, you got to start living. And he didn't. And he gets sliced in half. But that is not the end of the episode, like normal. So we kept going, and that's where Madeline finds Roderick in the basement. And we know all these events are coming together pretty quickly. But all that we know is that Madeline says Freddie's dead. She doesn't say anything about Lenore. And we find out about the deal and the terms. Into the world together, out of the world together. There's only one way out. So I guess if I'm thinking of this right, none of this would be happening if Perry. Well, okay. First off, because it all goes full circle, right? Freddie was supposed to have that building taken down, but he didn't do it, which led to Perry being able to use it for the thing that brought Freddie's wife into it and himself. So all the, and then, but it was also Roderick who had the building, all the different ways that led Perry to his death, his own bad decisions, all that stuff. Like, think about it. Verna didn't put the acid, the stuff in there. She was there because she knew what was going to happen. This was going to be the kickoff for the contract. If I'm understanding this correctly, that if Perry didn't die, right, then none of this would be happening yet. But that's again a yet. Maybe there's going to be some more explanation in the last episode, but I would say that Perry's death caused the chain reaction to, because they all have to come in and out together, then that's it. So he decides to OD on the Ligadone as Madeline like mantras her way through it. He actually takes the pills, but again, and she hears the jester bells. She stares at the wall. She walks away, keeps on walking. They hold, they hold. And when they're holding this long, look, if they had gone to black, I would have stood up and applauded. I would have fucking applauded. But they did what I saw coming, which is they needed Madeline to get far enough away so that Verna could stop Roderick from ODing because she's not done with him yet. We've only got one episode left, folks, and we're going to find out all of it in that episode. Again, that was a little predictable, but holy shit, what a fantastic episode. Just teaches us a lot about our own selves. So, anyway, thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. We will be back with episode 8 sooner rather than later, hopefully. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.